let's go ahead and get right on in TWIG. Welcome to TWIG, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show that tackles everything from you actually potentially being cited in an academic journal to iPhone finally catching up with 2010 with some video games in between. If you're listening on the podcast version of the show, be sure to give us a good review, click that like over on YouTube, or come and listen live on Twitch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch. Trombone, we're going to start with our first question and a brief introduction of yourself. What have you been watching? What have you been playing? What have you been reading? Let us know in the chat if you're watching, and I'm going to let our wonderful level 2 guest start with that.
Hi y'all, I'm Trombone Dalek. I go by many variations of Trombone and Dalek, most notably on Checkpoint, I am T-Bone. I also go by Grace. I have not been watching much lately. I've been playing a lot of House Flipper. I just kind of randomly decided to get back into it, and it's been giving me the dopamine I need in life. And then reading, starting today, I started reading Strange Religion, How the First Christians Were Weird, Dangerous, and Compelling. And it's pretty interesting so far.
Very, very nice. I'm going to type in the chat real quick just to make sure.
How dare you type in the chat?
Just want to make sure we get that pinned point. Oh, unable to pin. Why do you do this to me?
I got it.
You got it? Thank you.
It's pinned.
All right. Well, I have been watching, playing, and reading lots of things. So many things that it's hard for me to pick just one, but I'm going to do my best. I had picked something different that I was watching, but I got hooked today on a new anime that I'm so excited for. For those of you that know my interest whenever it comes to anime, I'm real big on the slice of life person becomes inspired to create something with a purpose. I love stories about creatives. I love Bocchi the Rock. I love My Dress Up Darling. And I love all the shows that do that kind of work. I started watching one today, Bartender Glass of God, God of Glass. I think it's God of Glass. And I am hooked on it. I secretly wanted to be a bartender in college. I thought about taking the online course that they offered on some random website at the point. I don't even remember what it was offering at that point, but I'm sure I wouldn't have been able to get a job with it. And yeah, I'm real into it. Real into that anime. I'm going to say that is going to be a nerdy sermon, almost definitely. Pretty much anytime we get an anime about that particular topic, I always try to do a nerdy sermon on it because I just love them so much. I have been playing back and forth 2 different games, Investigations. That is the Ace Attorney series with Miles Edgeworth. I've been playing the second one in that series, and I am in the second case still, so slow going on that one. And then I am on my 6th or 7th gym badge in Pokemon X. So I'm booking it through Pokemon. And I am about to start reading White Teeth, which is, I think, like a UK tongue-in-cheek kind of cultural justice book. I'm super interested and excited to get into that one. And then I had just finished chapter 1 of Autism and Worship. So this is a new liturgical theology book that I'm super excited about, super into, out of Baylor, that I am just trying to eat up as best as I can. And it is slow going. It is dense work, and it is a lot to read. I'm having to really take my time with it and just kind of eat up what I can as I can. But so far, I think it's been really helpful. It's already taught me a lot of things. I've taken a lot of notes. So it's good stuff all the way round. Folks, let us know in the chat what you might be watching, playing, and reading. I'm going to go through the ones that I see so far. It looks like ANA says, I have been watching Star Trek Deep Space Nine, playing Animal Crossing and Pokemon Go. Love it. Sneaky Pigs has been watching Fallout and Critical Role, playing Final Fantasy XIV, and reading more Sanderson. Enjoy Fallout. I regret binging it as quickly as I did, because hoo boy, did I sure enjoy it. It really was just a fantastic show that I want even more of. I'm sorry that you got ads there, my friend. I'm glad that you're back with us for the bulk of the show. We're going to get into our first news headline for tonight. And it has to do with Gearbox and the thing that I mentioned about the fact that your name might be in a paper. Millions of Borderlands 3 players have been credited as contributors to a peer-reviewed scientific paper, thanks to their involvement in a unique minigame developed by Gearbox Software and a team of biomedical researchers. Launched in April of 2020, the Borderlands Science minigame was was designed to convert player engagement into scientific data to aid research on the human microbial ecosystem. Players solved puzzles that represented microbe DNA to help correct data errors and format valuable DNA sequences. This effort resulted in over 4 million players, helping to solve 135 million puzzles, which contributed to tracing the evolutionary relationships of over 1 million types of gut bacteria. The insights gained could potentially relate certain microbes to diet, aging, and diseases such as Alzheimer's. This collaborative project between gamers and scientists was recently documented in the scientific journal Nature, highlighting the significant role that players played in advancing scientific understanding. Additionally, the article notes that Gearbox Entertainment, the developer behind Borderlands 3, is being sold to Take-Two Interactive for $460 million, with further developments including a new game and a live-action film directed by Eli Roth in the works. So this was super cool. I think this is so intriguing. It reminds me of the guy that invented CAPTCHA or whatever, and the fact that they were like working with ebook translators and having people that like solved CAPTCHAs actually be like fixing errors in scans of old ebooks. I think this is such a cool way that technology is solving problems in the real world. Did this one mesmerize you, or is this one just my nerd cup of tea, Trombone?
Oh no, it definitely mesmerized me as well. I always love when we harness the power of the nerddom to solve IRL problems.
Yeah. It's incredible. And I wonder like how much I don't know. So I'm not a big Borderlands person. I've never really played the games, and so I've never been into the franchise. But I wonder, like, were people really aware of how much they were contributing, or is this the first that they're really learning of it? I'm so curious for any Borderlands 3 players that we have out there. Did you know this was a thing? And if so, is your name in that paper? I'd love to go find it because I think that is so incredible there. So very cool stuff. Before we get into our next story, we have some more in the chat. Sugar Haiku is watching Shameless, so much anime, and is playing Earthbound for the Button Bash Brigade and also Bowser's Fury, and is finishing up Nimona for book club and perusing some magazines. And then Mochi Bean is watching Spice and Wolf. I'm watching that one as well, and is playing Detroit Become Human. Absolutely loved that game whenever I played it last year. It was one that I really sunk my teeth into and finished pretty quick. Enjoy. All right, with that, let's get into our next story.
Right, so Embracer Group has announced a strategic division into 3 separate publicly listed companies on NASDAQ Stockholm, aimed at enhancing focus and growth within distinct segments of the gaming and entertainment industry. The split will result in Asmodee Group focusing on tabletop games, Coffee Stain and Friends handling a spectrum of indie to AA games, and Middle-earth Enterprises and Friends managing major AAA titles, including franchises like Lord of the Rings and Tomb Raiders. This reorganization follows a period of significant restructuring, including studio closures and layoffs, positioning each entity to independently pursue tailored business strategies while maintaining potential collaborative interactions. This initiative reflects Embracer's goal to foster a more agile and specialized operational structure across its diverse portfolio. So what did you think about this, Nate?
So the president is now under quite some fire for this because Embracer Group is amongst it feels like the whole swath of the gaming industry that has had cutbacks and layoffs and a lot of burning of employees. So this whole restructuring thing, I think, is a little bit frustrating for some because they're kind of positioning it as this net positive when the reality is, of course, that it is certainly an unfortunate reality that we just keep laying off people over and over and over again. So I don't think I don't really know if the jury is still out on this one. I feel like, sure, I'm glad to see that they're diversifying. Hopefully that means that they'll hire some of the people back that they had to lay off because they're diversifying their portfolio a little bit. But all in all, it just feels like a weird decision in a very temperate climate that we're already dealing with.
Yeah, I definitely was like, can we do this without the layoffs?
Right. If we've got money to make these moves, then isn't it time that we start slowing down at all on this just continued studio closure movement that keeps happening? Is it the time, right, to be launching new studios whenever we can't even seem to figure out if we want to just buy up or have Microsoft buy up all the others or close down some of the ones? It's just unfortunate. So, yeah, I mean, I think that it's interesting enough. I'm not super bought in to really any of the Embracer Group games. Like I'll play a couple of them here and there, and I might get into some of the Lord of the Rings stuff here and there. But for the most part, like this is just kind of not a company that super affects me. And I'm sure that even if it did affect me, this actual restructuring isn't going to change their output in any real way. It's just going to change the way they structure their company that we never get to see. So it's interesting stuff, but only as interesting as the outside looking in. Please maybe restructure next time in a way that saves more jobs and doesn't put people out without any kind of notice again. So that's kind of where I am. Let's go into our next one on Discord. Discord recently updated its terms of service to include an arbitration clause, which took effect on April 15th, 2024. This clause prevents U.S. users from suing Discord or joining class action lawsuits against the company, instead requiring any disputes to be settled through arbitration, a private, potentially costly process without a guaranteed right to appeal. This move has sparked concerns, especially given current lawsuits against Discord involving serious allegations. Users have until May 15th to opt out of the arbitration clause by sending an email to a specified address provided by Discord. This action is crucial for those who want to retain their right to take a legal action in court rather than being confined to arbitration, where the balance of power often leans towards the company rather than the individual. The first thing to note here is that this is relatively easy to do. If you're interested in sending that email, all of the information is provided in a link that is under our TWIG news section of our Discord. Which is kind of, I guess, ironic. But then the other thing is that the news here is that they've now put an end date. But in fact, this terms of service update, this arbitration clause has been in effect. So before I ever even had a Discord account, this was already a thing that they were working towards. But now they've put a date that you can no longer send this email and essentially opt out of it. So the actual opting out is what has changed at this point, and this wasn't included in this actual news story from Polygon. So that's something worth knowing and worth keeping an eye on. But I don't know. I feel like terms of service, I just assume that I've been, worked over, right? Like I just assume that all of these companies want ill for me and boons for them. And it's like, good. I'm glad to know that there is an option here for me, but like how sound is it actually? And what am I really going to do at the end of the day? Like I still get emails all the time from like random companies that I've been signed up with for the past like 15, 20 years of my life that are like, you could get $6.33 by signing this arbitration. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm probably not going to do that. So is this just going to be another one of those, or is it going to be something more serious with the data scrapers and that kind of stuff? It's just hard to know, but at least this time we have an option.
I just want to mention that I was the one who dropped this in Twig.
There you go. I love it. It was so important that it made the main segment, and it was definitely valuable information. And I'm glad that somebody pulled up that it was a thing that needed to be done within a certain time period. And that's the most important part for sure. Okay, into our next one.
Fortnite has introduced a new feature allowing players to block certain emotes deemed overly confrontational, including the well-known Take the L emote, as part of the version 29.3 update. This confrontational emote setting, found under social privacy, defaults to showing those emotes only from friends in the party, but can be adjusted to block them from all players or allow them from everyone. Epic Games aims to ensure emotes remain a source of positive interactions, although this update has sparked debate within the community. Some players see the change as unnecessary, limiting expression, while others support the move, citing the increasingly toxic use of these emotes. The discussion extends to concerns about whether players will shift to using other emotes for trolling, and if Epic might need to update the list of blocked emotes in the future. I think it definitely, if we start to go this route, that the list will continue to grow, because trolls are going to troll. But at the same time, like, I see my middle school and elementary students using these emotes in real life to put down other people and constantly combating that, and especially with the Take the L. And so I think I like that it's an option and it's not forced. I appreciate that part of it, but I definitely have some mixed feelings.
Yeah, I think that this is, I'm often on the side of Epic, even though I kind of loathe some of their practices. But I think whenever it comes to accessibility and safety in the space, that they're doing a great job. And I think this is just another instance of like, this is accessibility. This is a way that they're allowing people to have more control over their gaming experience. And especially considering the wide range of ages, this allows parents to have the control over accessibility as well. There are people that wholesale will just say that kids under the age of 13 shouldn't even be playing video games like this. So the fact that we're making it accessible for kids of a certain age to still be able to be on the platforms in a way that is monitored and safe, I'm going to say is a net win. I do think that I agree with you that this is very viable to become a slippery slope kind of phenomenon, and that we'll just continue going down the rabbit hole of the next thing that ends up happening. And, you know, maybe that is the truth. Maybe that's what will keep happening. And then we'll keep making it more and more accessible. Maybe it's to be a thing where you can just turn off, you have the option to turn off any emote. I know that's a whole lot of options, but look, if we got to go there, we got to go there. And I'm always for trying to eliminate toxicity and also allowing as many accessibility options for players and for parents of gamers to be able to provide some means of positivity in this space. I do think calling them a confrontational emote was a weird choice. I feel like, I don't know, that almost feels to be like baiting the trolls to like let them know that it's working, right? Like you are being confrontational, like your confrontation is successful. But I don't know what else I would call them. I have no clue what other option there is other than just to say now you can turn off any emote you want to. But then I feel like parents will be like, well, why would I want to? So yeah, it's a weird one, but I do think that a net positive all around of like good on them for more accessibility, good on them for noting toxicity, and good on them for at least trying to make some sort of shift that'll be positive in this way. I mean, I was an adult whenever I got bullied off of League, right? Like I was an adult, I was a grown man, and I still like will not play that game because I had such a terrible experience. It's the toxicity of the internet is a whole other topic that I think kind of falls in our court as like a church. Like I feel like we should be talking about this kind of stuff so that Epic Games doesn't have to make this kind of move, because we're talking about toxicity, we're talking about bullying, we're talking about abuse, and we're leading the way on how to do good, do no harm, and grow in those spaces. So if anything, this inspires me to give them this is giving us time to figure out how to keep having these conversations with people that need to hear it, and providing a best practice and best way of being a good human being on the internet. So yeah. Sneaky says, even if it is only optics, it's good to see Epic Games doing something when other game studios won't do anything. Totally agree. I think that is what I'm kind of getting at. And I think, again, they're not couching it in a, like, we're removing these emotes. They're making it an accessibility choice. And I think that, at the end of the day, really is the ultimate win here. Okay, on to TikTok. The U.S. House of Representatives has passed a new bill that includes a ban on the popular video sharing app TikTok, along with provisions for foreign aid to Ukraine and Israel. Named the 21st Century Peace Through Strength Act, this bill passed the significant majority of 360 to 58. It extends the previous deadline given to ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, from 6 months to 9 months to divest the app, with a possible 90-day extension if the sale is near completion. This move comes after an earlier TikTok ban bill stalled in the Senate last month. The bundling of the TikTok ban with foreign aid might increase the bill's chance of passing in the Senate. Critics, including the ACLU, argue that such a ban infringes on free speech, while proponents cite national security concerns due to TikTok's Chinese ownership. Currently, TikTok is also banned on federal government smartphones and in several state government and educational institutions across the U.S. TikTok has been actively campaigning against the ban, highlighting its user base and economic impact in the U.S. So I will say that I am a fan of TikTok. I understand, like, I think that its most ill intent is probably the addictive nature of the thing. And so, like, I think that is a danger with the thing. I understand why people might not want to use it, but never have I been afraid of it. Never have I felt like it's been overly monitoring or invading my privacy, anything close to a meta, especially considering the kind of housing it within a foreign aid bill. Seems pretty clear what is really going on here is beyond our pay grade, right? Like, this is something that we can try and talk about as much as we have, but whenever we voted people into office, we made this decision for ourselves. And that's frustrating for some people and exhilarating for others who are excited to see this come to a close. But I don't know. I think that if you are a TikTok lover, you're not going to see this go anywhere for quite a while still, because, it's got the 9 month up to a year. So we won't see any change here, even in a year, assuming that it does divest. Assuming that it does divest, it may not change at all, or it could get burned into the ground. So there's tons of ways that this goes, but ultimately it's just kind of another instance of a workaround happening outside of our reach of power of the actual user of the internet. I will be amazed if the FCC does not get involved in this at some point.
I'm on the same boat as Roll Professor, that the only reason I'm not on TikTok is because I have enough time sucks already in my life. But otherwise, I would definitely be on. I am concerned about the political reasons behind it, but again, that's above my pay grade to try and figure out, unfortunately. And so it's just kind of a thing.
Yeah, I did see a pretty good meme the other day that was like, if TikTok gets banned, then what are people going to post on Facebook and Instagram? I thought that was pretty good. That was a zinger. They got them with that one. So, it is what it is. Social media is what social media is. Content creation is what it is. We kind of choose our camps and we do what we can to support them with the energy that we have. But ultimately, I'm in favor of using all of the internet better and not let the internet use us. So regardless of what platform you might be on, let's just try and do the best that we possibly can in all the ways that we can in all the different avenues that we have before us. So we'll keep on keeping on being a positive influence of do-goodery and do no harmery on the interwebs. Let's take it away with our next one.
Target as clear. My document was scrolling all over the place and nowhere I wanted it to.
No.
Target has clarified its stance on selling physical media amid rumors of its discontinuation in stores, confirming that while it will reduce the number of DVDs offered in store, it will not cease sales entirely, at least not yet. According to a spokesperson, Target will transition to a more selective approach, maintaining a limited assortment of DVDs that will be available during significant sales period like Black Friday or for new releases. I don't know who goes Black Friday shopping for DVDs, but okay. The retail chain's website will continue to host a broader range of titles for purchase online. Importantly, the shift will not affect the sale of physical video games in stores. This decision aligns with the changing consumer behaviors and the broader move towards digital media, while still acknowledging the value of physical media for certain customers, especially in light of issues like the recent Funimation app shutdown affecting digital media accessibility.
Yeah, this was interesting. I am not a physical media collector anymore as much as I used to be. I have plenty and it takes up all of my bookshelves and I simply don't have space for it anymore. So I'm thankful for the digital media reality, but I know that that's not the case with everybody, especially as some things are taken away from us. And I get that. But I will say what's interesting to me here is like, you always have to assume, right? Like Target is a big box store. They are here to make money. And so the answer to this is nobody's buying the things. And if nobody's buying the things, then why would they sell the things? And so that is what is causing this. And it's unfortunate and it is a bummer, but it's kind of the way of the market. So like if you want this kind of thing to continue, if you want to support it, then you've got to support it. That's just the nature of this society in which we live in. So I think that is the culmination of my thoughts is like, I really try my best not to buy physical media at Target if I can. I'm going to go to my local game store. Like that's where I'm going to try and get my video games if I'm going to buy them physically. If I'm going to buy a new console, I want to do that at my local game store. Like as much as I can, I try to support small business because that's my prerogative. And there's a chance that Target is being impacted by that as well as being impacted by those that are not wanting to do all of the things. So Yeah, I feel like this is not surprising. What is surprising to me is that they're stopping their online sales. I think that's really fascinating because it feels like that hosting has got to be next to free for what they do and what they provide based off of it. So that's the more curious one with me. And I don't know what that exactly says about the like capitalist system of the big box store, but I don't know. That's my question. And it's a good point Rural Professor brings up, same with library and local bookshops being another one of the ways in which we support small business, local business, that kind of thing.
Rural Professor is also making us hydrate.
Yes, I have hydrated. I've done it. I've done the thing.
I don't have enough windows to see all the things.
Gayanays makes a great point. Target is in fact not a big box store, but a big red ball store, and that's on me. That's on me. I messed that up. Yeah, so this is interesting stuff. I would love to know if anybody has any further thoughts on this one other than just kind of, I feel like this is a Buish story, and Buish is very busy with General Conference right now, but I feel like he is our resident carer of all things physical media, and I think that he would have an interesting perspective on this, or he might just kind of ruminate in the sag of it all. We'd find out there. So,
I mean, if nothing else, he'd be dropping a sag.
100%. So this is a bummer, of course, for those that are collectors out there, but I imagine people that are collectors are finding ways, and they will continue to find ways. As long as the media continues to be produced, I think collectors that are passionate about it will still find a way, and it's really the independent that maybe is not doing as much of that. So with that brings us to an end of our main news for tonight and into everybody's favorite segment of the show, Cryptic Critiques. That's right, it's time for Cryptic Critiques. This is where I find arguably beloved games, maybe even 5-star games, that have bad reviews. I try to find 1-star reviews of them, read off those prompts, and see if our special guest can get them in the 3 prompts that I offer. If you want to guess in the chat, feel free, but try and hold all the guesses until our guest gets a chance to give their last guess, their final answer, as Regis Philbin would say. Try and wait until that moment happens, but you can go ahead and type in the chat as I guessed at this prompt, or this is where I changed at this prompt. You do it however you want to do it. Just try not to give any hints before hints are due. All right, so our first
Now, did
prompt.
I give you enough time to make sure I know the game?
Yes. I made it earlier today with the intention of you being on tonight's stream. So
okay.
Hopefully this will be a good one. We shall find out together. The first prompt is the best example of this character design is so good, I only wish they were in a better game. Prompt number 1, the best example of this character design is so good, I wish they were in a better game.
Forgot how harsh these critiques were for a moment there.
They always are. I try to even go with the nicer ones because I feel like sometimes they go real hard. But yeah, this might have been a bit of a brutal one.
I got nothing. I don't even have a genre.
All right, on to the second prompt.
Game.
The second prompt is probably not much more helpful, but I thought it was funny. Prompt number 2, my firewall blocked this game. My firewall blocked this game. It is a hint, but it's an easy one to not understand.
Firewall.
All right, so we got our 2 prompts so far. The best example of this character design is so good, I wish they were in a better game. And then prompt number 2, my firewall blocked this game. Are you ready for prompt number 3?
Sure.
This is just Zelda Breath of the Wild, but you have to pay for everything. And the map is as empty as a barren wasteland. The best example of this character design is so good, I wish they were in a better game. That's the first prompt. The second one, my firewall blocked this game. And then prompt number 3, this is just Zelda Breath of the Wild, but you have to pay for everything. And the map is as empty as a barren wasteland. What do you think? Any shots in the dark?
With the last one, I was thinking towards Sea of Stars, but there's no microtransactions in it.
You gotta pay for everything in this one.
but you have to pay for everything. And so I'm trying to think what has a bunch of microtransactions that I'd actually play or know of.
So many that your computer firewall would say this is a scam.
Exactly. Like, the only thing I can think of that has a bunch of microtransactions in it now. Wait, is it Genshin Impact?
It is indeed Genshin Impact! Chats in the classic trombone! Yes, I feel like I remembered you playing Genshin for a while there, so I thought you might.
I was deep into Genshin, and then it became too many microtransactions and too overwhelming.
Yeah, people don't like this
But
game.
I think Leanne
People do not
mentioned
like
that
this
they
game
play it as
one
well.
bit.
It was Leanne or somebody else. And so once I figure out who it was, I'm probably going to get back into it with them at some point.
I'm waiting on Zenless Zone Zero. Whenever that one comes out, I'm super excited because I wanted to get into a Hoyoverse game, and none of them have done it so far for me, but Zenless Zone Zero seemed interesting enough. Yeah, these games are pretty atrocious. They're pretty expensive, and they have a bad reputation. I found so many mean reviews. It was these were the nicest ones that I could find. People are not a fan.
There's a lot of it, even though a lot of microtransactions pop up. You can ignore most of them. And it's only like a few events that you really like need that in order to get it in a timely manner. Like, you miss one day and you're screwed. But other than that, like, you can ignore most of them.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, people love it for a reason, but people also hate it very much for a reason, for whatever reason it may be. I got into the only real like free-to-play game that I've ever truly bought into was probably Pokemon Unite there for a while. That was one that I was super obsessed with and really enjoyed.
You were deep in Unite for a while.
Yeah, I don't get into free-to-plays. Like, they're not necessarily for me, but every now and again one will get its grips into me. But yes, Genshin Impact is indeed the game of this Cryptic Critiques. Let us know if you got it in the chat, if it was one that you got. Gane says, I was guessing Fallout, then Dead by Daylight, and then the Ronin game that came out at the same time as Princess Peach Showtime. No, I typically don't do anything so recent. I try to do something that at the very least I know our guest has played before. So that's typically where I try to go with it. And honestly, the more iconic, because I think whether you love or hate Genshin, you can't really deny the iconic nature of the thing. It became a mainstay.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it's good stuff. All right, with that, we're going to get to our next segment of the show. This is our To the Discord segment of the show. This is where you have submitted news to us over on our Discord under TWIG News. We have users from our Discord that submit random articles, and I try and pick 3 to talk about during this segment. The first one is from Sugar Haiku in the chat right now. Developer Riley Testet recently launched Delta, a free emulator for Nintendo consoles on Apple's App Store. This release follows Apple's recent policy adjustment allowing retro game emulators. Delta supports various Nintendo consoles, including the Game Boy, the NES, Sega Genesis, SNES, N64, and Nintendo DS. Interestingly, Tested hinted at supporting more emulators, but didn't specify which ones. This app is available worldwide for free on Apple's official store in the EU via AltStore PAL, a third-party marketplace enabled by the EU's Digital Markets Act. However, EU users must pay $1.50 or a £1.50 a year due to Apple's app marketplace's core technology fee. Delta's launch marks a shift, as previously running emulators on iPhones required jailbreaking. While Delta isn't the first Nintendo emulator on the App Store, a recent NES emulator, Bimmy NES, was removed shortly after release, possibly due to concern over Nintendo's history of pursuing emulator developers, as seen with Yuzu and Dolphin. We talked about this for the past couple weeks, so I feel like this is just kind of the same article again, but it was kind of a gamble. Like, I feel like in my circles of emulation, everybody's been like, who's the one that's going to finally stay on the App Store? Because there have been so many people that have like tried and either been removed or chosen to remove their app. And this is the first one that it seems has some staying power. So watch, tomorrow it'll get removed for whatever reason. But for now, it seems to be on there. And I will say it's very pretty. I think Splash posted a screenshot. It's a nice look. It's a good look. I think that by now, if you really wanted to emulate, then surely you would have already purchased an emulator if you were an iPhone user, or you would have made the switch to Android like I did, and you wouldn't have to worry about this anyway. So it should be fine. It shouldn't be a problem, especially as long as it is purely an emulator and doesn't come with any ROMs already baked into the app, which I don't think it does. But as long as that is the case, then it's totally fine. And of course, if you are going to play games, make sure not to play pirated ROMs, but instead find a way to download them yourself. We need to say that as a form of do-goodery for ourselves. We won't ask questions, but you should try to find ways to procure them in a legal way. We also believe in games preservation. So hopefully games preservationists will someday be able to give us more accessibility to games. And of course, there's also Nintendo Switch Online. There's ways that you can play some of these games here and there. Any thoughts on this one, T-Bone?
I'm always interested to see the emulators. Nintendo's pretty relentless, just like Sugar Haiku is saying in chat. So we'll see. We'll see if they let it stay or not. But I think this is a good thing for preservation of games, if nothing else, and getting more people having access to them.
Yeah, or at least for iPhone users that want this.
Yes.
And now they have the way to finally do it rather than going and buying a retro or a pocket or whatever out there that exists. So it is what it is. All right, on to some very interesting and unexpected news. Go ahead and take it away.
So this comes from Mayfly. Cynthia Williams, the president of Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro Gaming, is stepping down from her position at the end of April. An SEC filing revealed her departure, prompting Hasbro to begin the search for her successor, considering both internal and external candidates. Williams joined Wizards of the Coast over 2 years ago, having previously held significant roles at Microsoft and Amazon. In her tenure, she led Wizards of the Coast to over $1 billion in earnings in 2023 and managed significant releases like Baldur's Gate 3 and Monopoly Go. However, her leadership has also faced challenges, including scrutiny over corporate decisions impacting Dungeons & Dragons and Magic the Gathering, controversy over changes to the open game licensure, and other management missteps. Williams was instrumental in pivoting Wizards towards digital expansion, including acquiring D&D Beyond and developing new digital initiatives.
I'm so glad that Mayfly showed up just in time. We could probably have Mayfly just deliver a full spiel here of all of the things. Yeah, I think that this is interesting information. I don't really have too many thoughts. I have as many thoughts as I did about Jim Ryan stepping down, right? It's like this is just kind of more hoopla that doesn't really affect the general consumer probably at all. But it is interesting. I should have had Mayfly record a video for this for sure. I would be interested to know how much of a say Williams had in any of the things that actually went on, or how much of the missteps that have been over the past couple years were outside of her control or just outside of her influence in the slightest. Is she a scapegoat? Is this change in the weather? Are they figuring out that they just keep getting people hating on them? What does it look like for them to make the transition that is necessary? So I don't know. I don't know what we're going to see and what we're going to hear in the coming days here, but I'm eager to hear Wizards of the Coast finally have maybe a win. It'd be nice if they would take a quick turn into the positive instead of just continually making bad decisions. So maybe this will be the turn of the tide, and we'll begin to hear a breath of fresh air for this company in particular. All right, into our last of our To The Discord. This one was submitted by our own Perspective. Rare, the UK-based Xbox studio known for Sea of Thieves, has built a new eco-friendly studio building named Barn X. This new structure reduces its predicted energy consumption by 63% through several innovative features. It's an entirely electric building utilizing condensated water for utilities like toilet flushing, and is equipped with over 8,000 square feet of solar panels. These panels alone could offset 138,000 kilowatt hours of electricity annually, which is sufficient to power more than 438,000 Xbox Series X consoles. Craig Duncan, the studio head at Rare, emphasized that Barn X serves as a model for sustainability, enhancing team collaboration, creativity, and well-being. This building has also achieved LEED Gold certification, aligning with Microsoft's goal to be carbon negative by 2030. This initiative is part of Microsoft and Xbox's broader vision to foster a sustainable environment that enhances the quality and creativity of further gaming experiences. I love it. I love to read about it. Again, I just hate that it keeps coming in the wake of layoffs. Great. You built a really cool building and you're doing a lot of cool stuff with that, but I don't know. How many people could have been hired for that? That's where I land. But I hope that, this has nothing to do with any of that. And this is some mysterious grant that they got from the government to be able to do more eco-friendly stuff. And I hope that it pays off in the long run. And that because of this, now they're going to be able to do more in the hiring department. They're going to be able to sustain and support and build above and beyond and maybe make another game other than Sea of Thieves and continue expanding upon that. I grew up with Rareware. I love Rareware. Whenever they became Rare, they took a big pause and a break, and then Sea of Thieves was obviously their second big break. So I would love to see anything good beyond just good old eco-friendly. I love to see that. Love to see electricity being produced. Love to see, carbon neutral kind of stuff happening. I'm a big fan of creation care and the work that we can take and do to do good, but I do want people to also have jobs on top of that. And not saying that Rare has fired people, but it just feels like in the wake of all of these negative things, I don't really want the good thing to be that electricity is being made. I want the good thing to be that they just hired on 150 of the fired employees from this other place, So I'm interested to see where this one continues to go. We'll see what news is ahead there. But with that, we are going to get into our next segment of the show, which is my personal favorite.
At this point in nerd history.
That's right. It's time for At This Point in Nerd History, everything that was released on this exact date of April 23rd throughout time and space. We have a couple of big ones in here. So I'm going to let Trombone take it away with games and movies.
In 2019, MK11 was released. In 2015, Bravely Second and Lair. In 1998, The Pokemon Company. And for movies, in 2023, Your Way, Live on Stage. And in 2021, Mugen Train, Mortal Kombat was released.
Yeah, so we've got a lot of big ones there. Mortal Kombat 11 was definitely a big one for me. I happen to like Mortal Kombat games quite a bit. I still have Bravely Second and Lair sitting over on my shelf unplayed because I never got through the first one. I super enjoyed it, but it was definitely a DS game and went real slow and was not something that I was interested in logging 80 hours into. And then of course, the founding of the Pokemon Company is a huge deal. So who doesn't love that this is whenever, we went from Game Freak only to being this whole thing that is Pokemon Company being founded in 1998. So I thought that was a pretty fun fact there. A lot of Demon Slayer fans like the Mugen Train series, and then the Mortal Kombat movie. I'm still waiting on number 2. I sure hope we get one. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good movie, but I don't know. It didn't perform that well. Some random facts in here. 2009, the iTunes Music Store reached 1 billion applications downloaded. In 2005, on today, this is a big day. 2005, the first video was uploaded to youtube.com. So this is a big deal. And then another big deal in our particular sphere, for those of you that don't know, we're out of the Methodist tradition. And on this day in 1968, the Methodist Church and the Evangelical United Brethren Church merged to form the United Methodist Church, which we are now a part of. So this was a pretty big one. And now you can say that that on the same day, in many years from each other, the first video was uploaded to YouTube and the United Methodist Church was formed on the exact same day, as well as the Pokemon Company. Those are 3 things that I love very much that happened on the same day at different years. I think that is something I'll carry with me.
This is just Nate's day. This is just Nate's day of history.
100%. So it's good stuff there. Yes, back in 2005, I believe it was the one pointing us at the zoo or something, me at the zoo. So yeah, love to see it. Love to see all of this good stuff. All right. With that, we're going to get into our next segment of the show. It is time for upcoming releases. Trombone, I see you just have one there. So I'm going to do, I guess I'll do my 3 and then you'll do your 1. Does that sound like a good way of doing it?
Yep.
All right. So the 3 that I've got, the first one is the Knuckles TV series officially releases this week. I'm super excited about that. I know that Mayfly is also pretty hyped because, of course, Knuckles, played by Idris Elba, will be going on a hilarious and action-packed journey of self-discovery as he agrees to train Wade, played by Adam Pally, as his protege and teach him the ways of the Echidna warrior. From what I've heard, this one is pretty light on the Knuckles and pretty heavy on the other characters, which is a bit of a bummer. But I'm excited for more Sonic. I really enjoy the Sonic movies. I love Sonic the Hedgehog. I love Sonic Adventure. And so getting an opportunity to see these characters more is always good for me. And so I'm giving it 2 thumbs up already. It's going to have a lot of fun. I don't know if we'll be able to write a nerdy sermon about this one or if it'll even be big enough to do that. So we'll see. Another one is Enter the Garden is a 3-part anthology series being released and produced on YouTube by Goro Taniguchi. If you don't know that, that's Code Geass. So if you've ever liked the anime Code Geass, that's Goro's. And Goro is releasing a new 3-part anthology. Pretty cool stuff, Enter the Garden. The trailer dropped for it and the first episode drops this week. And then finally, at long last, another Crab's Treasure is being released this week. In the undersea, Souls-like adventure of another Crab's Treasure, you are Krill the Hermit Crab, who is going to embark on an epic treasure hunt to buy back your repossessed shell and discover the dark secrets behind the polluted ocean. I'm not a huge fan of Souls-like games. I'm not against them either. I'm not very good at them, full stop. But Another Crab's Treasure has been one that has had the goofs and the gaffs, and I'm super excited that it has at last been put on the docket for release. So I'm here for it. All right, Trombone, what's your entry into the upcoming releases?
So my only entry actually released today. Nope, it was today. I have been waiting for this game for... I think it was supposed to release in February originally. It might have been late January. So I've been waiting for a while for this. And for a while, it just said, coming soon. It had no date on it. And it finally said the 23rd of April. And so this is Erudian Chronicles 100 Heroes. I'm probably mispronouncing and butchering the name. It's totally fine. So this game, the prequel to it that I played, was the first game that I ever rolled credits on.
Wow.
And so that's why I was so excited that they were making another one of it. And so I have very little clue about it. I just know that I have that history with the first one being the one that I rolled credits on. And I just want to continue that joy within it.
I love that.
I don't really have anything
story.
else that I'm looking forward to because I have so many things going on in my life that I don't keep up with new things.
I hear you. I think that if it wasn't for TWIG, honestly, I don't know how much I would keep up with the new things either. And so looking at that list every single week gives me an excuse to be doing exactly that. So yeah, definitely hear you there. And curious about this game. I'm curious about the 100 hero roster that you get to pull from. I do love a good JRPG. Yeah. I don't know if it's a system that I necessarily would like, but honestly, I just don't have time for a JRPG right now. But I'll look into it. If it does well, then I'll definitely put it onto my roulette of RNG'd games to get in the near future. But let us know in the chat. What do you think about any of those games, any of the things that we talked about, or the shows that we talked about, or what's something that's coming out in the next week that you are particularly excited about? With that, we're going to get into our penultimate, or no, not our penultimate, our final segment of the show. That's right. It's time for our meme of the week. Our meme of the week this week is coming from our Memes and Goofs channel. Of course, if you want to be considered for meme of the week, you got to submit over there. I typically go with the one that gets the most reactions, but this time I'm calling an audible and choosing one of my own that I thought was really, really funny. It did get also a lot of reacts, but this is Mark Zuckerberg in his latest picture release of the Meta AI thing. You can see the Zuckerberg that we all know and love on the left, looking like a good Baptist, and then the new Zuck on the right with the beard and the curly grown-out hair and the chain. Oh my goodness, he's non-denom. He's really gone and made something of himself there. So pretty exciting stuff there. I thought it was a good goof and a gaff. But if you would like to give to our Memes and Goofs, then go submit your Memes and Goofs and that you might be selected for next week's meme of the week. So I know this is me patting myself on the shoulder with this one. It did get a lot of reacts, so it's not like I'm pulling a complete audible and just posting one that like didn't get any reactions, which I could do. I reserve the right. Look, I put together Twig every week.
If
I
you do
reserve that right.
I will go and I will call you out on it.
This one at
I'm
least did
sure
well.
that I can raise an army to form a riot if you try this.
You certainly can. You certainly can. Good stuff.
I will use all my connections as the great connector.
Well, at least it was a good one. It wasn't one about Danganronpa or about some random niche thing. Every now and again, I'll post a meme in the Memes and Goose, and nobody will react to it, and I'll get my feelings hurt, and I'll be like, "That was really funny," and I'll get like defensive and be like, "You all need to laugh at my jokes because I'm really good at jokes." And that's just not how humor works, unfortunately. So it is what it is. With that, we're going to get into our closing notes. So, Trombone, anything that you would like to shout out for this time? Any guest shout out moments? I'll be sure to go ahead and drop an SO in the chat for you.
Yeah, so if you're not already, follow me on twitch.tv/trombonedolic. I will be resuming more Good Morning Slay the Spire tomorrow morning. I am very hype about that. I've had some internet issues for a bit. I haven't streamed for a while. Probably gonna toss in some more House Flipper, since that's what I've been playing a lot of. Excellent, I already have somebody in my army. I shall add you to the roster, and it will be a glorious time. And we have a grand time of casual chaos over on my stream. My cat Minerva makes appearances periodically, and I laugh a lot and play games poorly. And so if you're interested in any of that, I would love for you to drop a follow and swing by when you have a chance.
Rock on. I actually meant to tell you, I have officially invested in and should hopefully be receiving before too long the Slay the Spire board game.
Did you do the pins?
The board game, not the Trash Dash. So this is the Slay the Spire one. And I'm intrigued by it. So it's a multiplayer Slay the Spire board game.
Nathan.
And I'm intrigued.
Nathan, you need to invite me over to play this game once you finally get it.
Oh, yes. It's going right into the Checkpoint library anytime we have those kind of events. I'm hoping I'll get it by November for sure at the latest, and we can bring it to whatever, NCMS. But we can do more stuff before then as well, because we can have more local game nights in addition. Because I'm hoping to host more of those with the church and all of that kind of stuff. So Slay the Spire, the board game. Didn't know it existed. Got sent to me on a random ad, and I was like, yep, gonna get that. Like, I don't really have a choice not to buy that, so that's mine now. And that's
good, because I couldn't afford to back it, and I really wanted to.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited that you backed it.
Absolutely. Well, with that, folks, we're going to wrap up the show. So again, we are going to go hang out over in the Discord at this point. I'm going to do our closing stuff here, but as soon as the stream wraps, I hope that you'll join us over in our Discord server for some more hangouts as long as we have a Guardian around for. With that, folks, this has been Twig, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show delivered live on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch each and every week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, you likely enjoyed this one. Remember to give us a 5-star on your podcasting app. Click that like button and make sure to recommend the show to all of your favorite nerds. I want to give a quick shout out to all of our subscribers here on the channel. We still appreciate you for subscribing us and supporting us financially so that we can continue to keep this ministry going, to keep things like this going. Of course, we appreciate all of our viewers, all of our likes, all of our followers, all of those sort of things. We want to give a special shout out to those that have clicked that subscribe button. So thank you to Teeny Christina P, Sugar Haiku, Strange Dunn, Daniel Calrissian, Elias Raven, Says Pineapple, X Mayfly, Perspective, Pineapple Pope 4, S Blackthorn, Yakeem 4752, Maybe 30 Bats, Scobie Church, Wisen Lemur, Trombone Dalek, Buish, Deacon Shannon LS, Jake Live, Twilight 27, H-Man 1009, Tanio Rathana, Sneaky Pig 633, Mindful Marlena, and Nerd Pastor Nate. Folks, is there going to be Twig next week? I don't know yet. I haven't decided. I may be at the Methodist Trivia Night with the General Conference next Tuesday night, so I don't know. If we can get people together for a trivia team, then maybe I'll go to that, but I'm not totally sold on going to it. If I don't go, we'll have Twig. If I do go, we won't have Twig. So this one's kind of on a fence. The best place to find out if we're going to have Twig is to join the Discord, and I'll be sure to let everybody know whenever I make the decision there. So just another plug there. Otherwise, you guys follow us on YouTube. I'll try to make an announcement there if I remember, and I'll post in any places. But obviously, if you come to Twitch next Tuesday night and we're not live, then that'll kind of do it for you as well. Folks, Now we're going to close this one up with our 3 things that we believe to be true about every single one of you out there. Whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God, or hate church, we still believe these 3 things to be true about every single one of you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. That's why we do things like this. Number 3, that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, until the next time that I see you, whether it be right now over in our Discord server, whether it be this Friday for our next stream, or whether it be some other place throughout the week, I look forward to seeing you then. Till next time, bye-bye!